If you care about serious history and the practical lessons it still offers, you're in the right place. Before we begin, subscribe to After the Sirens, share this video with fellow history buffs, and leave a comment with the survival tools or wartime adaptations you've studied or inherited stories about. This channel exists for people who want depth, accuracy, and knowledge that actually matters. World War II survival wasn't shaped only by generals and weapons. For millions of civilians, survival came down to everyday tools, often overlooked, that quietly determined who ate, who stayed warm, and who lived through years of scarcity. This guide looks at 9 essential survival tools that kept families alive across Europe, Asia, and beyond, not as nostalgia, but as real systems of resilience that still hold value today. The most critical survival tool for many World War II families was a simple set of hand tools. Hammers, saws, chisels, files, and hand drills were not luxuries. They were survival equipment. Families repaired bomb-damaged homes, reinforced shelters, patched roofs, and repurposed scrap materials because professional help was unavailable or unaffordable. In occupied cities, a broken door or shattered window could mean exposure, theft, or death. Today, the lesson is straightforward. Maintaining basic hand tools and knowing how to use them allows households to remain functional during prolonged disruptions when services collapse. The pressure cooker became one of the most valuable kitchen tools of the war. Scarce fuel meant families had to extract maximum nutrition using minimal heat. Pressure cooking allowed tougher cuts of meat, dried beans, and root vegetables to become edible and nourishing in a fraction of the time. In practical terms, this reduced fuel consumption while increasing calorie retention. Applying this today means understanding how efficient cooking methods conserve resources during power outages or fuel shortages. A pressure cooker paired with shelf-stable foods remains one of the most efficient survival combinations available. When gasoline was rationed or non-existent, bicycles became lifelines. Families used them to reach farms, transport food, deliver messages, and commute to work. Modified racks, trailers, and baskets allowed bicycles to carry surprising loads. In cities under occupation, bicycles provided quiet, reliable movement without attracting attention. Modern survival planning often overlooks this lesson. A well-maintained bicycle, spare parts, and repair knowledge can provide mobility when vehicles are useless. This is not theory. It is proven wartime practice. Clothing shortages were severe during the Second World War. Families could not replace worn garments, so sewing kits became critical tools. Needles, thread, scissors, and fabric scraps allowed people to patch coats, reinforce shoes, and alter clothing as children grew. Warmth and hygiene depended on maintaining garments. Applying this knowledge today means, learning basic repair skills and keeping supplies that allow clothing to be extended for years rather than just months. In prolonged crises, replacement is not an option. Maintenance is, quite literally, survival. Central heating was unreliable or even non-existent during wartime. Wood-burning stoves, coal burners, and improvised heaters provided warmth, cooking capability, and sometimes even hot water. Families learned to ration fuel, insulate rooms, and heat only the most essential spaces. They burned scavenged wood, broken furniture, and compressed paper briquettes. Modern households can apply this by understanding off-grid heating options, safe ventilation, and, of course, fuel efficiency. Cold kills faster than hunger, and WWII families understood this very deeply. Canning jars, drying racks, and fermentation crocks were, honestly, just as important as the food they preserved. Seasonal harvests had to last through winters, sieges, and, well, even sudden supply collapses. Families preserved vegetables, meats, and fruits using whatever methods were available to them. This knowledge, you see, reduced dependence on ration systems that quite often failed. Today, learning basic preservation techniques and owning the tools to do so creates a kind of food security that no stocked pantry alone can provide. Battery-powered and hand-crank radios were, in many ways, windows to the outside world. They provided news, warnings, and morale, often at great personal risk, especially in occupied territories. Knowing when air raids were coming or when front lines shifted allowed families to make life-saving decisions. These days, modern equivalents include emergency radios that operate without grid power. Information is survival, and, well, World War II families proved that staying informed could be just as important as staying fed. Hospitals were, quite often, overwhelmed or simply inaccessible. So families had to rely on basic medical kits. These usually contained bandages, antiseptics, thermometers, and, well, pain relief if they were lucky. You know, even minor injuries could become fatal without proper treatment. In many households, mothers, grandparents, and older children ended up becoming de facto caregivers, stepping in when no one else could. Today, comprehensive first aid knowledge and supplies are still absolutely essential. The wartime lesson, honestly, is pretty clear. Immediate care saves lives when professional help just cannot be reached. One of the most overlooked survival tools, believe it or not, was simply paper and pencil. Families tracked ration cards, food stores, debts, repairs, and schedules using these humble tools. Written records helped prevent waste and, well, reduced conflict. In chaotic conditions, organisation really does become a survival skill. Applying this today means keeping written plans, inventories, and logs, systems that work even without electricity or digital devices. World War II families survived not through luck, but through practical tools, skills, and above all, discipline. These weren't just abstract concepts, they were daily systems that kept people alive for years under extreme pressure. So, if you value history that teaches, rather than merely entertains, do consider subscribing to After the Sirens, share this video with others who care about real-world survival knowledge, and, comment below with the tools or wartime practices you believe deserve deeper study.